big breaking news that is coming in at this point. The black box of this aircraft has been recovered. It has been found on a building rooftop. This black box, remember, is the key to the crash, the entire probe. As far as this particular crash is concerned, this black box, in fact, will reveal the reason of the entire crash itself. In fact, this is big breaking news that is coming in at this point of time. The black box has now been recovered and we can confirm it here on NDTV. It was found on the building rooftop and it will in fact give us all the reasons, reveal all the reasons of this entire crash. All right, we'll try and go back to my colleague Ankit Tyagi, who's there on the ground. But this is what we know so far. The black box from the Air India flight that crashed in Ahmedabad, it has been recovered. And this has been recovered from the rooftop near where the aircraft has crashed. Where this Boeing 787 Dreamliner aircraft has crashed. The authorities, they were searching for the black box for some time, and now it has been recovered. It is quite important and quite crucial as far as this entire development is concerned. Remember, this black box, it will, it is not a single device. It usually refers to two separate devices, that is the flight data recorder as well as the cockpit voice recorder. And this is crucial because black boxes, they're absolutely crucial in aircraft accident investigation for multiple reasons. Number one, for uncovering the cause of the crash. The data and as well as the audio that is being that has been recorded by the black boxes, it provide investigators with an objective second by second account. In fact, my colleague Ankit Tyagi, who is there on the ground, joins us live. Ankit, take us through the latest. We understand that the black box has been recovered now.
That's the most important news which is coming in at this moment. The black box or the flight data recorder has been recovered of the AI-171. And let me show you where it was exactly recovered. The information from the press note that we have received is that right on this rooftop, and this is where we have been reporting since morning, there was a lot of activity, as I was saying. The 40-member AAIB team, the Air Accident Investigation Bureau, their 40-member team was able to recover the black box from this very area, which you are seeing on your screens, which we have been showing to our viewers since morning. This is the tail end. And let me very quickly, Osama, tell you, and we have been repeating this since morning, the black box, which is not black in color, orange or a yellow color device, which holds two important functions. So people sometimes confuse that as two black boxes. It is one black box with two important functions that is placed in the tail end, the tail end area of the aircraft. Now, this is in fact kept in this area and is able to take a lot of punishment. Is able to withstand a lot of heat. And what we know at this moment is that has been recovered. One very important thing, Osama. Yeah.
We'll very shortly come back to you. In fact, Vishnu Shom also joins us from the newsroom here. Vishnu, we understand that we have recovered the black box. Please go ahead.
Details that we've got at this stage. This is coming in from the government that the Accident Investigation Board has begun full work, and that includes work on the digital flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, which are parts of the black box, which has been recovered from the rooftop. It has been recovered from that same rooftop where the tail section of the aircraft had smashed into. That's the area which Ankit was describing, and I hope you've got that video up as well of that particular location. Earlier video which had actually emerged was of another component of the aircraft, some sort of a video recording device, but that at this stage the big breaking news is that the black box of the aircraft has been located. Now, the black box of the aircraft of the Boeing 787 is located in the tail section of the aircraft. It is composed of two components. One is the cockpit voice recorder, which records the conversations of the the cabin, of the cockpit crew, in other words, the pilots. That recording would be there for approximately 2 hours, after which, it gets deleted, and then there is fresh conversation which is recorded. But we want to know what happened in the final few seconds over here. Therefore, that 2 hours is great, but we'll get that important cockpit voice recordings of what the pilots have said. Number one. Number two, another part of that black box is the DFDR, or the Digital Flight Data Recorder. That has more than 1,000 parameters of data on the aircraft. What was the aircraft performance like? What airspeeds did it achieve? What was the performance of every component of significance in the engines? Was there a depletion of thrust? Are there any indicators of a bird hit? That may not, they can give an indicator perhaps of a bird hit without necessarily identifying that. What was the position of the control surfaces on the aircraft? What was the exact speed of the aircraft and the thrust on the engines at the time when they rotated? In other words, they started climbing. Was there a loss in thrust of the engines, which are otherwise incredibly reliable engines from General Electric, each developing 70,000 pounds of thrust or so moments after takeoff? What was the reason? What did the pilots do at that stage? Was there an improper retraction of the flaps which took place? Was there some sort of misunderstanding within the cockpit? There are multiple theories. As importantly, are there indicators of problems with the fuel supply? Some say that could be a reason as well. There are many reasons. Is this a maintenance issue, a mechanical issue, a pilot error, or all three? All of this will now come out. Now, assuming that black box, which Ankit correctly pointed out, is not black in color, it's sort of pinkish orange in color. Why? Because it's meant to be reflective. It's meant to be something that attracts the attention of people looking for it. If it is in an okay state, then there are solid data recorders which, as I mentioned, record the audio and separately record data on the flight parameters. Those are essentially plug and play in modern aircraft. They are hooked up to a computer, a laptop, or some other systems, and data is then downloaded seamlessly from that. And that data would give investigators a preliminary idea of what they are looking at. On the basis of that, they can actually take immediate decisions that, no, we perhaps have a larger problem on the basis of which we need to take these steps. What Air India will be looking out for is whether there is evidence of something which is unexpected, which points to a systemic maintenance concern or a potential maintenance concern across the entire Dreamliner fleet. Remember, Air India operates 33 Dreamliners, 27 I believe, or 26 was early, 27 was earlier on with the Air India fleet, which one of them has crashed. The remaining aircraft were from Vistara. Vistara's aircraft, which are now part of the Air India fleet, are the 787-9, somewhat different, elongated fuselage, more seats, etc., etc. But this was a 787-8 of the original order. Is there a concern over there which might prompt the regulator to ask for these aircraft for on a temporary basis to be grounded to rule out any problems? Now, if that is a step that India's regulator takes, if, and I repeat, if, then that is something that aviation safety boards around the world would be looking at. There are thousands of Dreamliner aircraft in operation around the world, and perhaps if there is a larger concern on the Dreamliner itself, it might end up affecting other fleets. At this juncture, we do not know this, but even a potential grounding of Air India's Dreamliners could be devastating for the airline. It has more Dreamliners than any other aircraft in the category of twin-aisle long-haul aircraft. So that's why all of this hinges on the data coming out from the black box, as it were.
Right, Vishnu, another point that I want to understand from you is this is a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. It's a modern aircraft. It has advanced systems. How does that, that fact affect the type and volume of data that we are, that it might provide us?
No, it will provide you immense data. It's an extremely sophisticated aircraft. It has a fly-by-wire control system, which means that the control surfaces of the aircraft are moved as a result of electrical inputs, as opposed to a system of pulleys and cables which existed in aircraft which were much older. Therefore, there is an electrical interface for essentially every important component of this aircraft. That is recorded across multiple parameters on solid-state data recorders, right? Essentially hard drives, sophisticated hard drives, drives, which are designed to be ruggedized, kept in a container which is designed to be able to absorb G-forces which take place during a shock, intense temperatures. It can be immersed as well in water and still come out and still function. You've gotten hold of this from atop that building in Ahmedabad, and that digital flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder, which collectively are known as the black box of the aircraft, will now be analyzed. There will be more than 1,000 items, parameters, moment by moment, second by second, of what, for example, was the engine doing at this time, what was the fuel flow, what was the airspeed, what was the status of signals, was there an error message? If there was an error message, what were the systems which were generating error message? So all of this is coming in, will start coming in once the digital flight data recorder data starts coming in. Now, the big question is, will there be preliminary indications from the digital flight data recorder which will be made public, or are we going to have to wait for an extended period of time? Remember, the UK regulator, the American regulator, and Boeing itself are also a party to this entire investigation, with, of course, the Director General of Civil Aviation being in the lead. But they are accountable to their own systems, accountable for the safety of their own airlines, which also operate Dreamliners, and therefore one would assume that if there is basic information which affects the security, or the safety of Dreamliner operations, then that would come out quite soon. But let's see if that happens.
Right, Vishnu, beyond the raw data, what other supplementary information, will be integrated with the black box data to build a complete picture?
Well, there is multiple data, as I mentioned, across various systems. So, in the case of plane crashes, it's that data which would indicate the likely cause of a crash. But whenever there is a crash, in almost all of the cases, it's never one factor which resulted in a crash or which results in a crash. There are multiple factors. For example, if there is an issue with the engines, what has caused that? Is there a maintenance issue? Who is responsible? Is there a simultaneous pilot error? There are all sorts of ways of looking at it. The flight data recorder is an initial starting point. But let me quickly go across to NDTV's Ankit Tyagi, who's been reporting now almost non-stop for 24 hours from that crash site. And Ankit, go ahead with the information that you have.
Since morning we were discussing, when you were also, since early morning were anchoring from the studio, giving us all the information about the importance of the black box, because that remained the focus of the investigation. NDTV, in fact, confirming it now that through you that the black box have been recovered. And we were discussing that this tail end of the aircraft and this entire roof of this entire area becomes the most important focus point as far as this investigation is concerned. Now, what we are, like you were mentioning, this is the very rooftop that the black box was recovered from. A 40-member investigation team, which has been relentlessly working to try and recover that black box. And after it was done, right after that, we saw heightened activity post that as well. What they were trying to do, they broke the entire boundary wall of this roof, which was still intact. Then, of course, other structures from this roof were broken. Just about half an hour back, Vishnu, a JCB machine was brought in here to try and clear the debris of the wall and of the other, bricks and all, which was lying all across under the tail. And after removing the debris, two heavy cranes have been brought in here. The expectation is, since the black box has been recovered, they are going to very quickly, in fact, try and clear the debris. This is the largest intact part of that aircraft, Air India 171, which is at this moment at the crash site. It will be very soon, taken off from here. Early at about 10:30 a.m., the SDRF and the NDRF were given a go-ahead to clean the entire crash site. And I believe after the recovery of the black box, that process only, hastens up. They will be, what sources are telling us, that it may take about 2 days, about 48 hours for this entire area to be cleaned up. As I was telling earlier, the radius of this entire crash site is more than 600 meters with charred buildings and a lot of vehicles, cars, scooters and other things which were on the ground, and of course the big aircraft, the entire cockpit, the entire body of the aircraft, all that has been burnt absolutely, and the mangled remains of all that is on the ground. So that is being cleared, though I've been told that it won't be cleared in one go. The instructions have been given to clear it section by section so that it can be packed and taken for further investigation, Vishnu.
Ankit, what are the next immediate steps once the black box has been secured? What are the next immediate steps? Will they be transported for analysis? Where will they be taken now?
Well, as you were saying, Osama, Vishnu was also telling us earlier, so modern aircraft black boxes are largely a plug-and-play kind of devices. Most likely, they are in absolute intact conditions. Of course, the outer shelling of the black box is designed to take a lot of beating, high temperatures, even fire or, freezing temperatures as well. So all that taken into account, the black box will be taken with the AAIB, that is the Aviation Accident Inquiry Board and Investigation Board. And what they will do, they will try, of course, with Boeing, because we heard the Tata Group chairman also saying that teams from United Kingdom and United States of the Boeing have also arrived to assist in further investigation. So there will be some laptop, some computer, some device which possibly is spared as far as that black box is concerned. It will then be plugged in and the data will start coming out. Two important set of data. One of the cockpit voice recording, which tells you in those 52 seconds from when the aircraft started taxiing and in its attempt to gain elevation, what was the conversation in the cockpit and between the pilot and the air traffic control. Number two would be the important parameters, and as Vishnu was telling us earlier, about 1,000 parameters of the aircraft are recorded as far as this black box is concerned. This is going to be very, very crucial to understand whether it was a mechanical failure or it was a pilot error which resulted into this accident. The other important factor would be to immediately see, Osama, whether there needs to be some, immediate steps that need to be taken regarding the other Boeing 787 Dreamliners, because remember, this is the wide-body aircraft which is extensively used, not just by Air India, but by many airlines across the globe. So they would also be waiting for some indications from this investigation to see whether it was one-off or there is some systemic problems as far as Boeing aircraft is concerned, which need to be corrected. So that would be on the black box part. Here, on the crash side, like I said, this is all this debris is just not going to be wrapped up and thrown away. This debris is going to be carefully collected and then taken to, in fact, for the investigation where Boeing and other investigators will try and put together and see where exactly were the pressure points on impact, what broke first, how did the fire begin, and what all happened as far as this aircraft is concerned. So all these pieces will also play an important role in trying to give us answers of this extremely, puzzling question of how an aircraft so reliable since 2011 when it commercially made its debut has never had an accident like this. And this is the first time the wide-body Dreamliner has, in fact, suffered this kind of an accident.